10 Buddhist Zen teachings to release worry and enter deep sleep tonight. Do your thoughts keep spinning, even after the lights go out? What if tonight, instead of trying to silence your mind, you listen to it with compassion? In this video, we'll explore 10 Buddhist Zen teachings that gently guide you to release worry. Surrender the day, and enter deep sleep tonight. These are not just words, they are timeless practices to help your heart soften, your breath deepen, and your body rest. Stay with me, you're only moments away from peace. In tonight's journey, before we begin, a gentle note: this isn't just a video, it's a space. A quiet space where you are allowed to pause, to breathe, to let go. There will be moments of silence woven into this journey, no voice, no words, only soft music and your breath. These are not empty spaces. They are part of the meditation. Moments for your mind to rest, for your heart to soften. Let them hold you, not rush you. And as we near the end, you'll notice the sound gently fading, easing you into deep sleep. Without effort, if you are still here, fully present until the last breath of this journey, you'll receive a small gift, a simple bedtime practice. Not just to help you sleep, but to slowly, gently, transform how you live. Let us begin now, together. In gentle. 1. Worry is just a thought, not reality. There's a quiet room in a Zen monastery in Kyoto where the only sound you'll hear is the wind rustling through the paper walls and the soft tapping of water dripping into a stone basin. A young monk once sat there every night, heart racing with fear about the future. What if he failed his calling? What if he wasn't enough? His teacher, an old master with eyes like still water, simply told him, "You are watching shadows and calling them dragons." It was only later that the monk came to understand. His worries weren't real, they were projections. Stories the mind spins, like a dream mistaken for truth. Zen teaches us this foundational insight. Thoughts are not facts. A worry is just a thought passing through consciousness like a cloud across the sky. It may feel heavy, but it isn't solid. The more we believe our thoughts without questioning them, the more they grip us like chains. But the moment we turn to observe them, something begins to shift. We create distance. We see that the thought, "I might fail," or "something bad will happen," is not the same as that thing actually happening. It is simply a sound in the mind. In this awareness, there is space, and in that space, peace can begin. The Buddha once said, "With our thoughts, we make the world," and so too, with our thoughts, we often make our suffering. Not because the world is cruel, but because the mind clings to illusions. It fears what hasn't happened. It relives what's already passed. Zen doesn't ask us to fight these thoughts. It invites us to notice them with tenderness and let them float on by. Like watching a leaf carried by the stream, we learn to watch our worries drift, without jumping into the river with them. At bedtime, these mental habits often intensify. We lie still, and the mind, unoccupied, begins to spin its old stories. But in that very moment, we have a choice. We can gently whisper to ourselves, "This is just a thought, not reality." That soft recognition loosens the grip of fear. It grounds us back into the body, into the now, into the breath, and from that place, sleep isn't something we chase, it becomes something we allow. The young monk eventually learned to sit with his fears, bow to them, and let them pass. In time, The shadows no longer looked like dragons. They looked like what they truly were, clouds dissolving into the vast, open sky. 2. The present moment is always safe. A Zen master once asked his student, "Where are you?" The student replied, "Here." The master pressed again, "But where is your mind?" The student paused, then answered, "Somewhere between what I should have done today and what I have to do tomorrow." The master smiled gently and said, "Then you are not here. Come back." There's something deeply healing in returning to this exact moment, not the past that's already vanished, not the future that hasn't arrived, but the breath that rises now, the softness of the sheets beneath your body, the rhythm of your heartbeat. Worry, by nature, exists in time. It lives in the future, feeding off imagined fears, or in the past, echoing regrets. But the present moment, the now, is always free of danger, unless there's a tiger in your room or the ceiling is collapsing. What's real in this moment is usually simple. You are safe. And you are breathing. Zen practice invites us to come home to the present over and over. Thien Su Thich Nyat Han taught, "The present moment is filled with joy and happiness. If you are attentive, you will see it." The challenge is not that peace doesn't exist, it's that we've trained ourselves to overlook it. We've been conditioned to live in our heads, to rehearse problems, to constantly scan for what might go wrong. But this night, right now, could be the most peaceful moment you've had in days, if you simply notice it. Try this. As you lie down to sleep, gently place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. Feel the rise and fall. Feel how nothing needs to be done. No one needs anything from you right now. Let your mind anchor into the rhythm of your breath. You don't need to solve anything tonight. You don't need to fix yourself. The present moment doesn't ask anything from you, it only offers. And in that offering, worry has no home. Like fog under sunlight, it begins to fade. There's nothing mystical about this. It's ordinary, simple, and profoundly powerful. In the present, you're not haunted by the ghosts of what if. You are here, alive, aware. The monk who once chased peace across 1,000 thoughts discovered that it had always been waiting, right beneath his feet, right within his breath, and so it is with you. Right now, this is the safest place you'll ever be. Three. Let go of control. Embrace trust. There is a story in Zen about a man clinging to a branch, dangling from the side of a cliff. Below him, certain death. Above, no one coming to help. His fingers begin to ache, and in desperation he shouts, "Is anyone there?" A voice echoes from the sky, "Let go." The man hesitates, silence thick around him. Then he shouts again, "Is there anyone else?" The lesson, as old as the mountains, still whispers to us. Peace begins the moment we loosen our grip. Control is a strange illusion. We often believe that if we plan hard enough, prepare well enough, think long enough, We can prevent every bad thing from happening. But Zen invites us to see the futility in that constant striving. The desire to control is rooted in fear, fear of uncertainty, of change, of pain. Yet the very act of trying to manage every outcome exhausts us. It tightens the mind, it blocks the flow of life, like trying to hold back a river with your bare hands. The more you resist, the more you suffer. In the silence of night, these control habits often surface. You might find yourself replaying conversations, mentally scripting tomorrow's events, trying to engineer perfect outcomes. But the truth is, no amount of mental rehearsal guarantees peace. Real peace is born from trust, not the naive kind that denies life's challenges, but the deep, spiritual trust that says, I can meet whatever comes. Moment by moment, the Buddha said, just as a solid rock is not shaken by the storm, even so the wise are not affected by praise or blame. That inner solidity does not come from clinging tighter, but from surrendering more gently. Not giving up, but giving in to the rhythm of life. The seasons turn, the tides rise and fall, the breath enters and leaves, all without our control. When we align ourselves with that rhythm, a new kind of confidence arises, not from certainty, but from presence. So tonight, as you lie in bed, ask yourself gently, what am I holding on to that is holding me back? And then, just for now, can I let it be? Can I trust that I don't need all the answers to rest deeply? Let the breath flow like a river. The thoughts come and go like wind. The branch is not your salvation. The letting go is, and in that surrender, sleep arrives, not because you chased it, but because you finally stopped trying. 4. Accepting what is brings peace. In a small Zen garden tucked behind a Japanese temple, a monk once spent his days sweeping fallen leaves. No matter how many he cleared, the wind would carry more. A visitor, watching this ritual, finally asked, "Why do you keep sweeping when the leaves will fall again tomorrow?" The monk smiled and said, "Because peace is not found in a clean path, but in accepting that the leaves will always fall." So often, our sleepless nights are filled with quiet resistance. We replay what should have happened, rewrite what someone should have said, reject the truth of what is. The mind whispers, "This shouldn't have happened, I can't accept it," and in doing so, we pour fuel into our own suffering. Zen doesn't try to fix the world. It doesn't sugarcoat pain. Instead, it teaches something far more radical: to be fully present with life exactly as it is, not as we wish it to be. Acceptance is not resignation. It's not weakness. It is clarity. It is seeing the moment clearly, without adding the burden of judgment. When we resist what already exists, we fight reality itself, and that's a battle we never win. The Buddha taught, pain is certain, but suffering is optional. The difference lies in whether we cling or we release, whether we say, "This should not be," or we soften into, "This is, and I can meet it." At night, this practice becomes sacred. As you settle into bed, your body may carry tension from the day, your mind full of unresolved threads. Instead of trying to force them into silence, simply witness them. Feel the ache in your chest, the weight behind your eyes. Let them be. Tell yourself, this, too, belongs. You are not required to like everything that happens, but when you stop fighting it, the struggle softens. There's a moment when the monk pauses. watching the wind scatter new leaves across the freshly swept stones. He does not curse the wind. He does not complain about the trees. He simply picks up his broom again, not out of frustration, but out of peace. You, too, can breathe into that same stillness. Life will never be perfectly clean, but your heart can rest, even among the fallen leaves. 5. Silence is the gateway to rest. There's a kind of silence that isn't just the absence of noise, it's the presence of something deeper. In Zen monasteries, silence is not a punishment nor a void, but a doorway. It's where truth is heard most clearly, where the self dissolves, and where the soul remembers how to breathe. One evening, a weary traveler found himself at a Zen temple and asked the master for guidance. The master simply poured tea in silence. When the traveler grew impatient and asked again, the master looked up and whispered, "You can only receive when you become empty." Silence, in that moment, said more than any answer could. In our modern lives, silence has become rare, even uncomfortable. We fill every moment with music, notifications, background chatter, even as we prepare for sleep. The TV hums, the phone glows, but the mind, like a lake, only reflects clearly when it becomes still. And stillness is born in silence, not the kind you force, but the kind you allow, the kind that welcomes you back to yourself. Zen practice reveres silence not as nothingness, but as the most alive presence. The Buddha often taught in silence. His stillness conveyed what words could not, the peace of simply being. In silence, worry fades because there's nothing to feed it. No narratives, no arguments, just breath, just being, just now. As night falls, let silence become your gentle ritual. Turn off the world, not to escape it, but to return to your center. Dim the lights, power down the noise, breathe into the space that opens. Notice the sound of your breath, the quiet between heartbeats, the subtle rustling of the sheets. This is not emptiness. This is fullness without clutter. There's a reason we sleep best in silence. The nervous system unwinds. The mind stops chasing. In the quiet, you remember what it feels like to rest without needing to solve or prove or explain. You return to a more ancient rhythm, the same one the trees and stars follow. You become part of the great hush of night. The monk who poured tea in silence knew this truth. Words can soothe, but silence heals. So tonight, let yourself enter that sacred stillness. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to do anything. Just be still, and let the silence carry you home. Six. Simplicity brings serenity. In a mountain village where the air was thin and time moved slowly, a Zen monk lived in a tiny hut with nothing more than a mat, a bowl, and a candle. A curious visitor once asked, "Where are all your things?" The monk replied with a gentle smile, "Where are yours?" The visitor laughed, "I'm just passing through." The monk bowed his head and said, "So am I." In that quiet exchange lay one of Zen's deepest truths. We carry so much, yet need so little to be at peace. Simplicity is not about deprivation, it's about freedom. In Zen, to live simply is to live clearly. Every object, every thought, every emotional attachment we carry comes with a weight. And at night, those weights don't disappear, they whisper in the darkness. The clutter in our homes becomes the clutter in our minds. The more we accumulate things, worries, expectations, the harder it is to let go and sink into rest. The Buddha taught the middle way, a life of balance, not too much, not too little, in the context of sleep and serenity. This wisdom translates beautifully: a clean, uncluttered room, a quiet, minimal routine, a soft ritual that signals the body it's safe to surrender. Even in the way we think, simplicity has power. One clear breath, one present thought, one moment of stillness is more restorative than hours of mental noise. You don't need a temple to practice this. Your bedroom can become a sacred space, not because of what fills it, but because of what you remove. Tonight, before lying down, dim the lights early, put away what isn't needed, turn off the endless scroll, let the day close gently, like a flower folding into sleep. As you rest your head, allow yourself to release even the need to understand. Let everything become simple again. This breath, this moment, this body resting in the quiet. There's a reason monks live with so little. It's not because they're holy, it's because they've learned the secret we've forgotten. When you have less, you worry less. When you need less, you sleep more deeply. In simplicity, we remember what really matters. And from that remembering, serenity rises, not as something to chase, but as something that was always there, just beneath the noise. 7. Forgiveness unblocks the heart. There is a story in Zen about a monk who carried a heavy stone from morning to night. When asked why he bore such a burden, he answered, "This is my anger, my blame, my old wounds." The master looked at him and replied, "Then why not set it down?" The monk stood silently, tears welling in his eyes, not from pain, but from the realization that he had always had that choice. Forgiveness in Zen is not about forgetting the past, it's about freeing yourself from it. Many people lie awake at night not because of what's happening now, but because of what still lives inside them, the betrayal that hasn't healed, the guilt that lingers, the words never spoken. These inner knots become barriers, not just to love, but to rest. The heart clenches, and the body follows. Sleep cannot come easily when we are holding on to yesterday like a shield. Forgiveness is not something you do once, it is a gentle, continuous letting go. It begins not with others, but with yourself. The Buddha said, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." In Zen, to forgive is to recognize the suffering we carry and choose to soften around it, not because the past changes, but because we no longer want to carry it forward. As you lie in bed tonight, notice what rises. Maybe it's a name, a face, a memory that still stings. Instead of pushing it away or wrestling with it, try whispering, "I see you. I have suffered enough. I choose to release you now, not for your sake, but for mine." This doesn't mean you condone what hurt you. It means you're choosing peace over poison. Practicing loving kindness meditation can also help. Silently offer these words. May I be at peace. May they be at peace. May all beings find rest. You don't have to feel it fully. Just the intention is enough to begin softening the armor around your heart. The monk eventually placed the stone down beside the river. He did not throw it. He simply set it down and watched the water flow past. That night, he slept like a child, not because life had changed, but because he had. Forgiveness does not erase the story. It just releases you from being its prisoner. And in that freedom, sleep returns like a long-lost friend. 8. Nature's rhythm heals the nervous system. A Zen hermit once lived deep within the forest, rising with the sun and sleeping when the stars blanketed the sky. He had no clock, no phone, no calendar, just the rhythm of the birdsong, the rustle of wind through pine, and the pulse of his own breath. When a scholar came to study his ways and asked him the secret to his calm, the old man replied, I stopped following the world's time and started listening to the earth's time. In the modern world, we've become deeply disconnected from the natural rhythms that once guided our bodies and minds. Artificial lights, endless screens, and the pressure to stay productive long into the night have slowly pulled us away from the cycles of rest written into our biology. The nervous system, designed to wind down at dusk, now struggles to find its signal to sleep. But Zen, with its reverence for simplicity and nature, gently reminds us, we belong to the rhythm of life, not the speed of machines. The Buddha often taught in nature, under trees, by rivers, beside lotus ponds, not because nature was aesthetic, but because it was alive, healing, and attuned to balance. There is wisdom in the fading of light, in the cooling of air at dusk, in the quiet hush that falls as the world turns away from noise. These are invitations to soften, to return, to prepare for rest. Try aligning yourself with the cues of the natural world. Lower the lights as the sun sets. Trade blue screens for warm candles. Listen to the sound of night, perhaps distant crickets or the subtle hum of the world falling asleep. Let the external slowing become internal. As you lie down, imagine your body as part of a forest, roots grounding into the earth, breath rising like morning mist, tension falling away like autumn leaves. Studies now confirm what Zen has long known. Exposure to natural light during the day and darkness at night restores melatonin production, calms the nervous system, and helps the mind release its grip on fear. But this is more than science, it is soul work. It is remembering that you are not separate from the seasons, the moon phases, the tides. You are not a machine to be shut off. You are a living rhythm meant to ebb and flow. The monk in the forest still wakes with the birds. He still sleeps by the stars, not because he has to, but because in doing so, he rests in the same breath as the universe. Tonight, let nature hold you. Let its rhythm be your lullaby. You were never meant to fall asleep under pressure, but to return to the quiet pulse of life that has always known the way. 9. Body awareness brings stillness. There's an old Zen saying, when the mind is nowhere, the body is everywhere. When the mind is here, the body rests. In the silence of night, many find that their thoughts race, spinning webs of what-ifs and unfinished stories. The irony is that the body is already in bed, ready for rest, but the mind refuses to follow. Zen teaches that to calm the mind, one must return home to the body, because the body, unlike thought, only lives in the present. A wandering student once asked his Zen teacher how to quiet his mind. The master replied not with words but with a simple instruction: walk slowly. Feel each foot touch the earth. Be where your body is. The student obeyed, and over time, with each step, his thoughts began to settle, not because he conquered them, but because he no longer fed them. This is the art of embodied awareness. In our culture, we're taught to live in our heads, analyzing, planning, remembering, predicting, but the more we disconnect from our physical experience, the more we drift into anxiety. The body, however, is an anchor. It doesn't worry about tomorrow. It doesn't regret the past. It simply breathes, pulses, and exists. When you turn your attention inward, to the breath, the heartbeat, the sensation of fabric on skin, you begin to shift out of mental noise and into grounded presence. At bedtime, this practice becomes especially powerful. As you lie down, close your eyes and take one conscious breath. Feel the air moving through your nostrils. Notice the rise and fall of your chest. Bring your awareness slowly from head to toe, pausing to feel each part. This body scan is not about changing anything, but simply observing. You might notice tension in your shoulders, softness in your hands, warmth in your belly. Stay there, breathe with it, let the body be known. The Buddha taught that mindfulness of the body is the first foundation of awakening. Why? Because the body does not lie. It does not wander. It is always here, and in returning to it, we reclaim a piece of ourselves long forgotten. We remind the nervous system, you are safe now. It is okay to rest. The student who once walked mindlessly now walks with reverence. His every step, every breath, has become a gateway to stillness. And at night, when he lays down, there is no war between mind and body, only a quiet reunion. You, too, can return, not by force, but by attention. Your body has been waiting for you to come home. Let this be the night you arrive. 10. Sleep is a sacred surrender. In the heart of Zen, there's no separation between the spiritual and the ordinary. Washing a bowl, walking in silence, drinking tea, each act becomes a meditation. Even sleep, often treated as a biological necessity, is seen as sacred, not a pause between accomplishments, but a gentle surrender into the arms of life itself. One Zen master, when asked how to fall asleep peacefully, simply said, "Bow to the day, and let it go." So many of us approach sleep like a task to complete, something to achieve before morning. But sleep is not a conquest, it's a release. It's the moment we stop trying, stop reaching, stop holding on, and in that very act of letting go, something ancient and healing begins to take place. The nervous system unwinds, the heart softens, the soul returns to quiet. The Buddha never spoke of sleep as weakness. In fact, he often retreated into silence and stillness, honoring the cycles of rest and wakefulness with deep reverence. Zen invites us to do the same, to treat sleep not as escape, but as reunion, a return to the space where effort ceases, where ego dissolves, where the mind no longer needs to perform or protect. Before you fall asleep tonight, create a small ritual, not of performance, but of presence. Sit quietly, take a few deep breaths, whisper gratitude for having made it through another day. Forgive yourself for anything that's still unfinished. And then, as you lie down, imagine the whole weight of the day falling away from your body. With each breath, let go just a little more of thoughts, of tension, of needing to control. Say softly to yourself, "This is enough. I am enough. I release. I rest." Sleep, in this way, becomes sacred, not because it's perfect, but because it is real. A return to your essence. A prayer without words. A practice of trust. If tonight's journey has brought even a little more peace to your heart, we invite you to continue walking this gentle path with us. Subscribe to Buddhism in You, your sanctuary of inner stillness and Zen wisdom. Each evening, we'll meet you here with another step toward balance, healing, and deep inner freedom. See you tomorrow night, here,